Warning! The following video will contain content that is not appropriate for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, guys, welcome back for another one of my Pokemon Battle Revolution rant battles. For those of you who didn't watch the previous video I uploaded, go back and watch it, otherwise this isn't going to make as much sense. Again, guys, I would recommend watching all of the Pokemon Battle Revolution battles that I upload today in a row, in the proper order, because then what I'm talking about today will make a lot more sense. But anyway, for those of you who don't really care and you're just now joining me, I had some shit go down at my workplace this past weekend that just really fucking irritated the shit out of me. So I'm going to be telling you guys about one of the things that happened over this past weekend. So, the managers really do try their best, I get that. They may be short-sighted sometimes in their thinking. They may not always do things that I agree with. But I feel like they do genuinely try their best. Even if, again, I may disagree with how they do things, or I may not like certain things or whatever. Again, I have nothing personal against any of them whatsoever. Quite the contrary, actually. I like all of them, as people, and to me, that's the most important thing. So, they have been trying to get better about not having as many mistakes on carryout orders, because as a host, it's our responsibility to take care of carryout orders over the phone, and so hosts also do expo, so we have hosts and then we have expo people, but we're all labeled as hosts, we're all trained on both things. So we have the expo people in back putting food together, for the carryout orders and even for the servers and shit. They put all the food together, and then the hosts up front bring out the food to the customers and then send them far, far away from the restaurant, so that way I don't have to see them anymore, hopefully. Except when they call back and bitch about their food being incorrect, which unfortunately has been happening a lot lately. Not a lot, necessarily. I would say our, ratio is still very much positive in that regard. We have way more orders that are correct than orders that are not correct. That being said, though, we've had a bit too many lately that have been apparently incorrect. So the managers have been trying to take steps to, better that. Part of the problem, too, lately has been the kitchen, because we've had a couple new cooks signed on recently, and they've been a bit iffy, to be honest. So the kitchen's been a bit of a mess lately, as far as, making the food and shit. And we've just been so swamped ever since we introduced DoorDash and Uber Eats earlier this year. We've had so many fucking problems. Because our kitchen is not that big, We're not that big of a restaurant, and the volume of orders that we get, we just can't handle. We just literally can't handle it. It's too fucking much. So then food gets backed up, and then all the customers are all like, why isn't my food out in 2 minutes? Oh, because we actually have cooks who cook the goddamn food, not fucking wizards who, again, wave a goddamn wand and make your food magically appear, you moron. We actually goddamn cook the food. Fucking idiots. I love how customers just don't understand the concept of how a goddamn restaurant works. But that's a whole other story. So we've just been having all kinds of fucking issues lately with carryout orders. And on Saturday was the day we had just a shitstorm of issues. But they started doing this thing where, because we have the regular host stand, but then we have a table next to the host stand that we usually have a bunch of flyers and carryout menus on and shit. So they decided to clear off that table. And instead of keeping the carryout orders in the back and then bringing them out to the customers, they decided to start putting the carryout orders on the table when they're done. So then when the people show up, they're right there. There's a couple issues I have with that system of doing things, nothing major. But the main thing that they stressed was that we need to, actually physically go through the bags of food and double check with the customer watching to make sure that every single thing is in the bag, And I totally agree with that system. I think that's a smart thing to do. So we were doing that all day. All day on Saturday, we were doing that. And we were actually pretty rock solid, pretty accurate, I felt like, on carryout orders. That being said, one of the managers said she got, like, a couple calls for carryout orders that were messed up or whatever, which I don't buy because I think we were pretty accurate. But, I'm not going to sit around accusing her of being a liar, So, to be fair, I wasn't answering the phone a whole lot, so I wouldn't know. Just kind of would shock me, but it's whatever. So we had some issues on carryouts, but there was one person who had an issue on a carryout in particular that really got to me because at the time, we were super busy. There was a lot of carryout orders on that table, right? So my coworker, the one who I was up front with, who I was hosting with, she was up, like, kind of in front of the host stand at this point. I'd already, because these two ladies came to pick up the order, right? It was for someone named Clayton. And these two ladies came to pick up the order for Clayton, right? And so there's a lot of bags on the table, right? So I take the two bags and kind of move them to the front of the table. And then I literally, watched my coworker as she went through the bags with the customers there. Like, I literally saw her double check the order in front of the goddamn customers, okay? And then they left with their order. And then they called back later and said that there was something wrong with their order. So, I literally don't fucking understand what more we're supposed to do to make sure that someone got the, food that they ordered. Because I literally watched my coworker, go through this order with them. What fucking more are we supposed to do to make sure you get the correct food? What the actual fuck? Really, what the actual fuck? How much more are we supposed to goddamn do to make sure you get the correct fucking order? I just don't get it. Again, we literally sat there and double-checked every fucking thing like we were doing with every other order that night, and literally double-checked every last fucking thing. And they still called back and said something was wrong with it. You were right there. You watched us go through it. You left with the food. If something was missing, why the fuck didn't you speak up? Why the fuck didn't you say anything? Are you just that stupid? How, at that point, how is it our fault? I'm just saying, really. Don't fucking understand, guys. I literally don't understand. So that just, yeah. On top of every other fucking thing that was pissing me off that night, with people being cut early, and, letting people go home early, which was really stupid by the managers. Then there's this idiot who, literally, we go through item by item on their order in front of them, and then they still said something was wrong when they brought their food home. Just wow. That's some pathetic ass bullshit. What fucking more are we supposed to do? I literally don't fucking know. Alright. Well, guys, I'm going to be talking more about some other stuff that has pissed me off at my workplace this past weekend, so stay tuned, and yeah, I'm going to be talking some more about that next time. So, yep, stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.